Well, if I had to pick one place to start, I'd probably say that my mom is my spoken literacy sponsor. Because when I was little, she would read books to me in English. She would speak to me almost exclusively in Spanish. And I mean, my entire mom's side of the family speaks Spanish, so they would all talk to me in Spanish. She would also put like children's shows on for me in like French and just like a bunch of languages. I don't know, probably increase like my neuroplasticity. She would always like correct my mistakes when I talked, because it's kind of like her pet peeve, and I think it's been inherited by me. In elementary school, people would say like in back of me, or they don't know nothing, and I was just like perturbed. They'd always call me the grammar police, but it's fine. She would read stories to me in English, because I mean, she didn't know how to read any other language. There was one story in particular that really stood out to me, Harold and the Purple Crayon. Oh my god, I love that book. I don't know why. I mean, I guess thinking about it now, it stuck with me because like the themes are so strong in like the way I think about the world today. The book highlights themes of imagination, problem solving, and the power of creativity. That's like what cooking is, using your imagination, problem solving when you don't have certain ingredients or like machinery. I think exposing me to all those languages when I was younger definitely made it easier for me in my linguistic journey to communicate, as I had like different forms of communication to compare to, and just like hearing a lot of people talk. I mean, obviously when any baby is born, you hear a lot of people talk. I mean, I don't really have a monolingual Elias to compare to, but pretty much enough on Harold. But I just really enjoyed that book. Kind of taught me that I could do anything if you set your mind to it. I mean, and just the creativity and imagination aspect of it is a core foundation in the kitchen. Obviously, if you're not a chef, you have to go with what the recipes are laid for you, but in cooking at home, you can practice all the other aspects, creating your own stuff. But obviously, when I was younger, I didn't really have a passion for cooking. That came from my dad, my abuela, and honestly, just watching a bunch of like food stuff online. When I was younger, I lived with my abuela, and she would always be cooking, taught me how to cook rice, eggs, all that like normal stuff. She also makes the best flan I've ever had, but I digress. One of, if not my favorite dish, like ever, is called rabo encendido. It is Cuban oxtail. It's like braised for how long? Like 6 hours? Long time. My abuela actually, she would make all my baby food, so expanding that palate from a young age. I chose to do a video instead of any written thing, even though I'm not exactly very confident in front of the camera, but I think it shows more my character. It's more authentic. I just prefer it. My dad and I would always go out to eat at places. He lives on Miami Beach, and when I would go to his house, we'd walk to a lot of different restaurants, try different things. I always had a pretty adventurous palate, and he definitely reinforced that. We were at this Mexican restaurant named Tequiza, and they had un taco de chapulines, which is grasshoppers. Honestly, I was not gonna try any of them. That was because of him. He said we should try it. God, they weren't bad, but definitely an experience. He encouraged me to try new things. That's obviously a very out there example, but it's a main one. It's definitely the craziest thing I've ever had. And that's where my love of trying new things comes from. Another dream I have, which is instilled from like seeing people online, particularly food creators, because there's food everywhere in the world and you can experience different cultures. It's like where my desire to travel and try new cuisines comes from, seeing people do the same online. Like I emanate with that. I see them doing it and I'm like, I would love to do this. There's one creator, his name is Rob Martinez. He predominantly in New York, but I know he's gone other places. He'll end his videos by saying like to follow him for more stories about people and food, and I think it's really beautiful, because I mean, food is created by people. People have stories. He interviews them and he sits with them and enjoys a meal with them. I think food has like a transformative power to bring people together. That's why I love it, not just because it tastes good. The passion was there from all these sources. My mom, well, food-wise, is my dad more so, my abuela, and just YouTube, seeing people cook and eat. But then obviously, because I love it so much, I wanted to start cooking. So a lot of these people would have like recipes posted and like blogs with different recipes. I just wanted to cook. I mean, I wanted to try new things from around the world, and I wasn't about to buy a plane ticket. Couldn't buy a plane ticket, so I made the things myself. I actually just thought of this now, but like, pretty popular show, The Bear. I mean, people have said that that's a pretty good example of what it's like in a professional kitchen. Obviously, I haven't been there yet, but it's like a future form of literacy. They have their own like code, like they say things like behind hands, and they call out orders based on like the chef will just call out an order, and everyone knows what they're supposed to do because they know their roles, and they speak to each other in a way that like keeps everything concise and efficient. Actually, going back to my mom is a fond memory I have. There's one time we were in an apartment together. Well, like we were living in an apartment, and she was cutting onions, and I wanted to help. I've always kind of liked being in the kitchen, but I wanted to help. And onions like make you cry. They actually don't for me that much, but at the time I thought they did, so I wanted to avoid it. And I grabbed my swimming goggles, strapped them on, and I was short, so I was standing on a stool in the kitchen with like snorkeling goggles on, like the ones that go over your nose, not just the little like eye goggles. I got like a mask. It was cute. One of my favorite things to cook because it's so simple is carbonara, which is like, it's like 3 ingredients. It's like guanciale, parmigiano reggiano, and eggs. That's literally it. But guanciale is like a cured ham. It's pork cheek that's been cured, so it's really salty. The first time I made it, the recipe I saw didn't really state that it was super salty, so I added salt, like an exuberant amount, to the pasta water, and when it was finished, it was really salty. I mean, it still tasted good, but borderline inedible. The next time I made it, it was just so much better. The recipe didn't explicitly state it, but because of that experience, I knew that it was like naturally salty, so I didn't add as much, and it tasted way better. I'd say the story, like an academic reading that we've done so far, that of the reading, have to be the Ruth B reading, but the story within that stood out most to me is probably HFB's story. She's talking about how moving to Canada, she like disconnected from her culture and had to take Arabic class. She was saying how she felt disconnected, but once she felt connected, she was able to also embrace the new identities that she adapted or adopted to enrich her own literacy and her life in general. And that's kind of my goal. And although I've never really felt disconnected from my culture, I'd love to experience new ones. Well, like I said prior, HFB felt disconnected before she integrated new cultures. But, I mean, not only will it enrich my life, experiencing different cultures, but I think that's what makes you better in regards to all like artistic things like cooking and writing. I mean, richer life experiences enrich your artistic expression. I truly believe that to be a fact. A rich life creates for rich writing, soulful cooking. It just is more impactful. I know that part of like future enrichment doesn't really correlate to my current literacy journey, but I think that's valid to include it in this assignment, because I mean, it will enrich it and contribute largely to my literacy journey in the future. I talked about like reading the recipes and stuff, but I think the way this really ties into my like written literacy is how I view cooking. One of the ways that I think this is gonna affect my literacy, not just like the reading recipes and all that stuff, but the way I view cooking, I want to try and implement into my writing. Usually pretty rigid with my other academic like assignments. And I think that's like in part due to the system that we evolved, like for the majority been raised in. There's like one way to do it, like a standard 5-paragraph essay kind of thing. Like every sentence is like a specific thing, like your link, your evidence, your never internalized it. It's not like valuable information because it's wrong, but it is. It is wrong. To teach people that like writing has to be one way when in reality, English class, writing class, they should be like not grouped in with like math and history, like subjective statements. Writing is an art. I mean, it is. Books are art. Like it's all art. It should be an art, not a like rigid academic thing. But yeah, like I always felt boxed in. Like I talked about earlier, like the way Harold shaped my view with like of how it's embraced today in my cooking. With like the fact that I like imagine new things. I need to use creativity in the kitchen and adaptability. I mean, that's all things that like you need to implement in your writing. And I never really viewed it that way, but now cooking has taught me to embrace the imperfections in my writing and like adapt to what I have available to me. In a kitchen, it would be the equipment or the ingredients or whatever. In writing, I feel like the only thing you can ever really be lacking is life experience. If I have not lived, how can I write purposeful writing? I'd always, from the beginning, I don't know why, even though sometimes like in academic assignments or regards, like I always feel inadequate. Like it's like, is it really good enough to submit? But with cooking, I mean, most of the time it's for myself. Or with people that I know aren't going to judge me. So I'm okay with it not being perfect. With it being like human. I mess up, try again next time. And I've always known that with cooking, but I never really applied it to writing. But I think now I'm able to start doing that. To apply the same concepts from cooking to my writing. The flexibility, the creativity, the adaptability, the forgiveness. Writing like cooking can be technically perfect, but without meaning and like soul, it's purposeless. So I mean, that's the ultimate life pursuit and endeavor, to have meaning and purpose in whatever you do. Without that, I mean, what are you doing? So I guess that is the lifelong question. Anyway, for dinner tonight, I made sausage and wet beans.